All right, guys. I wanted to give a little bit of a Russian grammar lesson. Now, when you start to learn Russian, their grammar is exceptionally complex. So I don't recommend going into a course just on Russian grammar. What I recommend is learning Russian to hear it, to speak it, just learn it kind of offhand and maybe bits and pieces of grammar, and then later go into it in more depth when you are more used to the language. That is my recommendation because the grammar can become very complex. It can become frustrating. But to speak it, I think that is possible to do without going really in depth with the grammar. You just kind of learn it. You're learning the grammar, but you don't know it. Sort of, it sneaks up on you. And then later, you can go more in depth. By that time, you've got a background, and you go, oh, that's why they do that. So I think that really has helped me a lot. That's just my tip, what works for me. And you have to find what works for you. Sorry about that. I've got a heater that's blowing my paper here. It is very cold out as I make this. So we're going to look at the present tense. Now, I apologize for my writing. My English writing isn't the greatest, so my Russian's not going to be the greatest. But we're going to go into the present tense conjugation in Russian. And now, what is and this right here is a site that I used for the conjugation. It's a good site. It also linked me to another site that you can get lessons on, which I had not heard of. I think Lingmello or something like that. It looked like it was okay, just one I hadn't heard of. But anyway, this one works for other languages too, but you can specifically look up Russian. I looked it up by, actually searched a verb that I knew would work for this. So the verb that I looked at was работать, and that means to work. And this is a very regular verb in Russian, and so it's a good one to show the endings on. Another one is слушать. That would be good too, and that's to listen to. But we're going to use работать. So работать, to work, is an infinitive. What is an infinitive? Well, it is the raw form of the verb. What that means is it's your verb. Stop that. The infinitive is basically to work, to stand, to sit, to go, to something. And the reason it is because a verb is an action word. You're going to show some kind of action. And you might show passive or active action. We're not going to go into that. But anyway, and then also like to be, to have. Those are more passive verbs, but they're all important. So we're going to use this one, работать, and that means to work. All right. So here's how you do it. And this is a model that works for most languages. So I learned to do this in French, was my first language. So for French, it would be je travaille, tu travailles, il, elle travaille, nous travaillons, vous travaillez, elle travaille. So I learned to write it like this. So basically, I'm writing the singular personal pronouns. So ya is I. I've written it here. I работаю. So this is the ending, and actually that's what we're going to add. So we're dropping, in order to do this, we're dropping like this part. So we're going работаю. So for я we're going to say robotio. All right, for t is you, and it is generally you singular. It is also you informal singular. So I've written here you singular, but it is an informal like you would use with your friends. And we're going to say robotas. So we're going to add a e. This is going to be it is hard to write when you're on camera. Oh, Lord have mercy. See, I can't hardly see what I'm doing. There, that's your ending. Okay, robotas. Then we're going to look at he, she, and it. On, he, ona, she, ono, it, robotayet. So this ayet is what we're going to add, okay? So then our ending is going to be, okay? And that's your third person. So this is your first person singular, ya, I. Second person singular, te, you. Third person singular, on, ona, ono, robotet. All right, now the reason I've separated this from this is now we're looking at the plural, more than one plural personal pronouns. So so this we is actually first person plural personal pronoun, and so we is moi robotem. And so here's your ending you're going to use. Right like that. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Oh, my writing's such a mess. Okay. All right. Then we're going to go to the second person plural personal pronoun, you. And this is you plural, or this can be you formal. So if you're speaking to someone who is a doctor or a teacher or someone senior to you in some way that you want a more formal means of speaking to, it would be v. So v robotaete. So here's your ending. And that's what we're going to use. All right, then for your third person plural personal pronoun, oni, which means they, robotel. So we're going to use this ending. Now, I haven't talked about the Russian alphabet, and I don't actually want to. You can look it up, but this is a letter, basically. So, robotel. Okay, so go over it. Я работаю. Ты работаешь. Он, она, оно работает. Мы работаем. Вы работаете. Они работают. So I hope that I don't know how my accent is, so I hope it makes sense. I hope that native speakers can understand what I'm saying, and I hope I'm showing you right. Now on Conjugator.com, which I do recommend, this is a good one to look up verb conjugations. They linked me to Lingmello. Now I had not heard of this one, but this is it's a system for learning languages, and it costs $7.99 a month. However, it is billed at $47.94 every 6 months. So, you always have to, when you go to do a language, and they're probably going to be paid, because everything's about money, which absolutely frustrates me to no end. They're going to quote you a price per month, but that is not what they're going to bill you. They're going to bill you this larger amount. And it is very frustrating to me when they do that, because I just can't afford it. But if they just bill $79.99 a month, I'm on board. So it really depends on how they do that. And That's one reason I use Duolingo. It is a low cost per month. And then I have another one that is a low moderate cost per month. And I use that one because Duolingo teaches me the language in a fun way. So it doesn't go really in depth to the grammar. But LingoDeer gives me grammar notes. And so LingoDeer makes it happen for me, sort of. So the two have been a very good, I've really recommended that. Duolingo and LingoDeer have been a very good combination for me. But you can use any type of site that works for you. So there's a lot of different ones to experiment with. Anyway, I hope this makes some sense. So, ja работаю. Ty работаешь. Ona, ono. So on, he, ona, she, ono, it, работает. And then in the plural personal pronouns, мы работаем, вы работаете, они работают. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that I hope it just makes some sense to you, and I hope that you learned something. Thank you. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. The only thing I don't welcome is criticism and, people just not being nice because they don't want to be nice. That I don't welcome. Personal attack, I don't welcome any of that. But actual questions about the language or something, I would be more than happy to address that.